Entire cities across Florida closed tonight as they face the mess that's left behind. Crews are just starting to clean up, but the threat is not over. Let's go out live to Jacksonville, Florida, where Natasha Chen has a look at that right now.
Well, Ryan, we are seeing lots of flooded streets throughout Jacksonville, especially in the residential areas. And the mayor here has told us that they're in rescue mode right now, trying to get to some of those people who did not leave during the evacuation process during the storm. I've also seen a lot of people in hotels downtown. Many of those hotels have told folks that there's no room there with all of the folks who had to leave during the storm. So some of those people are just now starting to check out because they're hearing that certain bridges have reopened, giving them access again to those neighborhoods. But again, it's very, very dangerous for them to go in places where they have not been given the permission to access because there are down power lines everywhere. And officials really want them to take care and watch out for that before they just decide to drive home.
Natasha Chen reporting from Jacksonville, Florida. Thank you, Natasha. Irma's power taking down trees, ripping apart homes, as you've seen, all along its path. In places where the rain has stopped, people are hoping to get back into their homes to salvage whatever they can. They're picking up the pieces and starting over. 19's Alex DePrado is here in our newsroom with more.
We have just learned there are about 10,000 people who rode out the hurricane in the Keys. There is no water, power, or cell service there tonight. And officials say 42 bridges that link the Keys must be inspected before anyone can be allowed back in. In the Keys, there are pockets of widespread destruction. This home is gone. In Key Largo, this business was destroyed when Irma roared across the island as a Category 4 storm. Boats were tossed like toys. Irma sent a storm surge into neighborhoods. Today, streets were still flooded. Kent Anderson flew over the Keys and took this video. There's no power, water, or cell service in the Keys.
A lot of destruction throughout, all the way from Miami down to Key West.
The Florida governor toured the destruction from the air.
My heart goes out to the people in the Keys. I mean, there's devastation. And you know, I just hope everybody survived. It's horrible what we saw.
In Miami, boats sank in the high winds. This one ended up on its side. This one was pushed by the wind and water onto a dock. Others ended up on the shore. At the port of Miami, cargo containers were tossed around. The retractable roof on the stadium where the Miami Marlins play, damaged by the strong winds. Cranes came down in downtown, which is why authorities urged those living nearby to evacuate. And a plane ended up upside down in Irma's winds.
There's a number of priorities for the federal government. Right now, because the storm's still ongoing, our priority is life-saving, life-sustaining. Jacksonville and the Keys are taking a considerable amount of our attention right now.
In Florida, millions of people are without power tonight, and 6 deaths are blamed on Irma in that state. Live in the newsroom, I'm Alex DePrado, 7 News 19.
Parts of southern Florida are just starting to get a look at what's left behind after Irma rolled through, leaving significant damage there. The Night Team's Joe Rotes is live in Hollywood, Florida, with more on the cleanup happening right now.
And this was an area that was underwater. The streets, the sidewalks, people's front yards. The good news tonight, there are pumps on pushing that water away from people's homes, but it is leaving behind scenes like this. Massive trees uprooted in people's front yards, down in the street, down on power lines, and now a cleanup process is underway.
From falling trees to being underwater. Parts of Hollywood still feeling the wet effects of Hurricane Irma on Monday. A driving tour off Hollywood Boulevard near the bridge shows several inches of water still sitting on the roadways and near the front door of some homes.
This is extra high water. I'm sure some people had some damages inside the house. I think this is from a surge. That's my guess, but it's sad. And it's sad when you go further north from here, too. There's a lot more water in this low lake area.
Halfway up the driveways to the older houses that are a little lower, it's almost at the door, but it's not in the door yet.
People are trying to make the best of a few days without power, biking through the waters or a quick paddle after being kept inside over the weekend. For one family, a real reason to be happy after this close call. on Tyler Street, just north of the boulevard at the height of the hurricane.
At first, just like a branch fell down over here, and then we moved it over to the curb. But little by little, like, more branches started falling.
The Jerome family rushing to get cars out of the way as branches snapped on this old tree in their front yard. Next thing they know, down it went. As the waters recede, pumped out of the roadways, a rush to start the cleanup process.
For a single person alone, it's extensive, and some things I can't salvage, some I can.
And everyone doing what they can to pitch in, down to every fish left behind in the streets.
I wouldn't like to be trapped in grass.
Now, unfortunately, that cleanup process is hindered by the fact that, as you can see, there is no power throughout the city of Hollywood right now. That means there's also a curfew in effect here in Hollywood, as well as other parts of South Florida, until they can get everything back up and running. We're live in Hollywood, Florida. Joe Rotes, 7 News 19.